Well, hello and welcome to the New Health Conversation. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I started the New Health Conversation a number of years ago, and I certainly think we need one. Hello, great one, Arbor user 5905. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. We're going to talk today about why diets are failing you, because they are. They do not work in the long run. It's complete and utter nonsense, and every single medical study proves now that counting calories to lose weight is completely obsolete. Hi, Denny. Welcome aboard. What we're going to talk about today is why diets are failing us, and we have 10 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that are going to make every single diet out there obsolete. They were developed by the top weight loss research physiologists in the entire world, and they're in a position where they're going to now be able to make this available to everyone. This took about 38 years for them to discover this. And now there are 10 new peer-reviewed. Hello, Carmel. Hello, live. How would you all like to be able to lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet, lose no water, and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass? That's what's now available to all of you. What we now know is that both men and women in particular, can lose an entire dress size in a week with no exercise at all. Diets, why diets are failing you, because they are. I'd love for anybody to put in the chat a diet that you think works long term, because all the medical evidence now is going against it. Even if we start with Harvard Medical School saying stop counting calories. They said the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not just antiquated, it's just wrong. And they said what we need to do is concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. Now, another big study says why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never, never been proven to keep weight off long term. Hello, Emily. Hello, Susie. How excited would you both be if you could lose as much weight in 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet? Why diets are failing you? They're failing you. We're going to teach you today why that's happening and what you can do about it with 10 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that took nearly 40 years for them to discover the real secret behind obesity, weight loss, and our health. What are we doing? People are going to run to this January 2nd. They're all going to start on these diets, none of which work in the long term. It's not up for debate. That's what's going on. And you can be in a position where you think that your diet, you're going to lose weight on any diet initially, and you're going to gain it all back. They even said that in one of these big studies here. Why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. So you're literally going on a diet to gain weight. Is that what you want to do? Why are we so blinded by something that just doesn't work? In 1964, about 4% of the population was overweight and obese. This year, it's 80% overweight, 50% obese, and 50% pre-diabetic. So Gene or Jim or user 836. Why diets are failing us? Because they are. Please, anybody, put in the chat any diet you think that works. None of them work. It's just this biggest fallacy. We've been counting calories since the 1800s, and every year it's getting worse and worse and worse, and more diets until now. These researchers spent 39 years chasing, could they basically break the code on weight loss and obesity? They've done it. There are 10 new peer-reviewed human trial studies. I'm going to put it in the comments for all of you. It's called the New Health Conversation. That's the free website that you can all go to if you want to. And you can see the medical proof there. There's nothing to buy. There's no gimmicks. You can see it right there, the New Health Conversation. That website it's got the medical proof and an interview with the #1 nutritional research in the world, who he and his team created this. It's not a diet. They don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They're scientists. And what they did, the Bozer, Troy Barr, Susan, imagine being able to lose weight in a week safely that would take you 8 weeks on any diet. How about losing as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, losing no water, and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass? We now have 10 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that have taken almost 39 years for them to figure out why diets are failing you. They're failing you because they're based on the wrong premise, counting calories. The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Why are you counting calories? Because someone told you to. Diets fail for a basic reason. Our body runs on a minimum amount of nutrition to run the brain and the heart and the kidneys and the lungs. When you go on a diet, all it is, think about it, I don't care what the name is, you're lowering the amount of food you consume. What else are you lowering? Nutrition. When your brain figures out there's not enough nutrition, it goes in survival mode, prevents you from burning fat, and turns your muscles into carbohydrates for fuel, doing two of the most unhealthy things ever, slowing down your metabolism. That's why you gain all the weight back. But more importantly, it also impacts your own immune system. So the very diet you're going on to fit in your skinny jeans is doing something to you, not for you. And the things it's doing to you are really, really unhealthy. This is crazy. With 80% of Americans overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Would anybody like to put in the chat a diet you think works? What would it be? I mean, we're in such terrible shape in this country. America's dying. We're already, excuse me, our life expectancy is 10 years less than the people in Japan. Do you know right now that a huge portion of the healthcare budget is for chronic disease? Chronic diseases are driven by lifestyle choices. What we're putting in our mouth matters. But all the people out there, all they're telling you, the magic formula is just reduce calories, you're going to lose weight. Nonsense. They're full of it. They have no proof of that whatsoever. I mean, look around and go to the mall today. Go to Walmart, Kmart. Look at America. Look what's happening. Do you think that's like normal? And what are we hearing on social media? Oh, we'll do the paleo. Oh, let's do time restricted eating. We don't eat for 16 hours, we eat for 8. Nonsense, 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 nonsense. None of it's working. I mean, study after study after study proves it. Here's a study. I don't want you to believe me, but listen to this. This is a meta-analysis. Meta-analysis is a study of studies. In this, they examined 80 weight loss trials where the authors compared different forms of lowering calories. They found that a diet that focused on reducing calorie intake initially produced weight loss, but people steadily gained back all their weight and more. 80 studies proving counting calories is nuts. Why are we doing it? Because we don't have an alternative until now. You can see I put down there at the bottom, the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website. If you go there, we won't contact you. What's there? The medical proof of everything I'm showing to you. If you like what you see, you can scroll down and get a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. The coaching's free, and if you decide to do it, the coaching's free the whole time. Because this is a little bit complicated, but look at the results. I mean, men lose 2 to 4 inches off their waist in a week. Women, a whole dress size in a week. No one was allowed to exercise. And yet they lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet ever studied. These researchers did 100 studies, thousands of people over 40 years. And here's the thing they concluded. Every diet, every time people lost weight. But when they did the analysis, especially of muscle mass, it went down by as much as 40%. I don't care what the diet is, whatever you think. I had someone tell me today, oh, well, if you fast for 2 days, you're not losing lean muscle mass. Nonsense. Shh, stop. Nonsense. Because here's how it works in your body. If you don't eat it takes about 22, 23 hours for your body to burn through the energy stores, sugar called glycogen in your liver. At that point, there's only 2 things for the body left to burn, fat and muscle. Well, in starvation mode, your body won't let you burn fat. It turns to your muscles for fuel, for survival. This is crazy what's going on. And I know January 2nd, everybody's going to, that's their big New Year's resolution. So Power of Now, Shonda R.D. Williams. This is an epiphany. This is a tipping point. I'll tell you how serious it is. Here's Johns Hopkins Medical School, one of the most respected medical schools in the world. What do they say? Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. They think 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese in 5 years. Again, what are we doing? Why are you going to put you through the torment of going on a diet, holding on like heck to your willpower, only to gain all the weight back? That's what they're saying in all these studies. I just read that one. 80 different clinical trials on calorie reduction found that the diet focused on reducing calories initially produces weight loss, but people's weight steadily rises back and more than what they ended up with. Another one, why you shouldn't count calories. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse, 2/3 of people who count or restrict calories gain back more than they lost. Let's go to Harvard Medical School. Stop the calories counting. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories to 3,500 and lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. This is Harvard Medical School saying this idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not just antiquated, it's just wrong. Says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, she says. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. That's basically what these researchers did. Nothing to do with Harvard. Nothing to do with these others. They'd done their own for 40 years, 100 studies. Every time people lost weight, but when they measured, they were losing lean muscle mass. And when that happened, they slowed the metabolism down. Every person, every time, gained back all their weight. Do you think it's a coincidence that in 1964, about 4% of the population was overweight or obese? And now it's 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. And Johns Hopkins Medical School says in 4 years, it's going to be 86%. What's happened? We've introduced this mountains of processed food with no nutrition, chemicals and sugar. That's what's going on. What are you going to do about it? I mean, honestly, do any of you honestly believe you're going to go on a diet and lose weight and be able to keep it off? I'd love to know, because the medical research says that it's not happening. Now, let's talk about what do these researchers do? Well, they figured that out. They said the problem with every diet is it was just a matter of lowering the amount of food people are consuming, but they also lowered nutrition. So the idea, this was a theory. They don't have any products to sell. They don't have a company. They're just scientists. They said, could we lower the amount of food we let people consume, but not lower the amount of nutrition? So here's what they did. They put together a new food group, but only 30% of the food came from sources in the United States and North America. Only 30%. Why? Because our food in this country, in case you didn't know, is becoming almost nutritionally bankrupt. The other 70% of the food, the researchers, they weren't the ones that found these foods. There was another group of people that did, who'd gone to Russia, Mongolia, to Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand over the last 20 years, and found food groups with massive amounts of nutrition, not something you can buy in your grocery store. And so, 30% of the food people consumed in the studies came from the grocery store. The other 70% from these 5 foods around the world that the researchers have coined. Those 5 foods made up, for the first time in history, the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint of view, not from quantity, but from quality. So those are the ingredients. And as you know, if you're going to cook something, you have the ingredients and then you need a recipe. Well, these researchers created a new way, completely different way of consuming food. 5 days a week, you actually have 4 meals a day. What? Yeah. You start with the world's most perfect meal for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, a 3rd meal from the grocery store, and a 4th meal, the world's most perfect meals. 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating. Those days, you consume no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods from around the world, 4 times a day, about every 3 hours. And what were the results? The researchers were shocked, because in 7 days, people had lost as much weight as they had seen people lose in 8 weeks on any diet. In a month, they were losing as much weight as people lost in a year and lost no water and gained lean muscle mass. Now, here's the thing that science is now saying. 2 incredible things. 1, the faster you can lose weight, the greater chance you're going to keep it off. That's the first thing scientific. The second thing is, we know that they're now saying the faster you can lose weight, the healthier you are, as long as it has nutrition. The problem on a diet, and the warning's always been, don't lose more than a pound a week on a diet, because you're losing lean muscle mass, which we have the evidence to prove it. Well, you can imagine in a month's time, they lost no water and people gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. It's the healthiest thing you can do. Lose weight as quickly as possible, as long as you're not sacrificing lean muscle mass. Listen to this, in 30 days also. What else? Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down dramatically just in 30 days. Hunger came down 41% in a month. And what was crazy, unbelievable, inflammation, for the first time ever, came down 25% in a month. And if you didn't know, inflammation is the underlying cause of every disease out there. And a lot of us, it shows up as, stiffness and aches and pains and whatever, that kind of stuff. But the thing about this, some of these studies were started 10 years ago. The people in these studies that just got published now or within the last year, they've kept the weight up for 10 years because the program's they call it, the researchers, R2M, Race to Maintenance. They said it doesn't make any sense to have people lose weight and gain it all back. So when you go on this, the key would be with your coach, you get to your goal as quickly and safely as possible. That's the end of the beginning. You're just starting. Then what you do, they teach you how to maintain that, whatever you've accomplished, for the rest of your life. Look, I did this 22 years ago. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 22 years. That's what you should concentrate on. That's why you should be excited. And the fact, the faster you can lose the weight, the greater likelihood you're going to keep it off forever, and you improve your health. The faster you can lose weight, the healthier you're going to become. The opposite of what we've been told for years and years and years. But we've listened to them, and so let's take in their advice about calories in, calories out. So 1964 to today, we've gone from 4% overweight and obese to 80% overweight, obese, and 50% pre-diabetic. 50% of our kids are overweight, and a third of them are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Do you know that type 2 diabetes in children like 30, 35 years ago didn't even exist? There weren't any cases. What are we doing? And I know you're excited. You're going to see the influencers. There's medical doctors, and there's chiropractors and nutritionists and diet and weight loss and fitness trainers. They come on and give me all this nonsense. Oh, we got people with performance. You don't have nothing. You got no proof of anything other than chatter. You can tell I'm very animated about this. One of the reasons is my own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I loved her. It didn't make any difference. I lived through fat shaming. 23 years ago, she called me up before I became a researcher. She said, you know, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, what's that, Mom? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mom did, I swear, almost every diet that was available. She did the grapefruit diet. She did the cabbage soup diet. She did Weight Watchers for years. She did the South Beach diet. She on and on and on and on. She would lose 20, gain 25 back, lose 25, gain 30 back. I miss her. But at least in her memory, I'm willing to take on the slings and arrows that I'm getting. You can't imagine the pushback that I'm getting. You don't know what you're talking about. Snake oil salesman, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me see here. I've written 4 best-selling books with some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. I've done 20 shows on PBS. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, did over 1,500 live lectures around the world in medical schools and universities. They even flew me to China. But for 20 of my 22 years of research, in the medical world, it meant zero, nothing, until now. So in the last year, as these studies have come out, we got doctor after doctor and nurses and PAs and dietitians. They're all coming up because there's nothing like this. Don't in your mind try to compare this with a diet. It won't work because it's not a diet. It has nothing to do with dieting. As a matter of fact, what is it, sir? Okay, let me explain it to you again. So here's why, you see the title, Why Diets Are Failing Us. So after years of research, 10 groundbreaking studies, from the researchers who have been weight loss nutrition physiologists for almost 40 years, they figured out the reason diets fail is real simple. What they never took into account was when you lower the amount of food you're consuming, which is what any diet is. Forget the calories. The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Okay, when you lower the amount of food you're consuming, okay, because the body has a minimum amount of nutrition. Imagine a floor, okay? When you go on a diet, you're lowering below that. You're also lowering the nutrition. The brain freaks out, prevents you from burning fat, and turns your muscles into fuel, slowing down your metabolism. That's why you gain everything back. And it also impacts your own immune system. Believe it or not, going on a diet is one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do by counting calories, lowering calories, which the body doesn't even want to count. Why are you counting calories? The body doesn't care, doesn't know about it. So here's what they did. They figured out if they were going to do something different, could they lower the amount of food that you would consume, but not lower the amount of nutrition? They didn't know if it would work. So here's what they did, just to answer your question. They came up with a food grouping, but only 30% of the food people consume was from the United States and organic food. Only 30%, because our food in this country is all but nutritionally bankrupt. So the other 5 foods that these researchers didn't find, they don't sell anything. They don't have a product. They don't have a company. We don't sell you anything. But these suppliers that they found had found 5 food groups from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, South America, New Zealand that made up what the researchers called the world's most perfect meals nutritionally. Nothing to do with quantity, everything to do with quality. And then they invented a new way of consuming the food. 5 days a week, you did something called protein pacing. What the heck is that? 5 days a week, you actually have 4 meals a day. So it's not about quantity, it's about quality. You start with the world's most perfect meal, those 5 foods from around the world, then lunch from the grocery list, a third meal from the grocery list, and your fourth meal, again, the world's most perfect meal, is 5 days a week. 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. I didn't misspeak. It's fasting with nutrition, where no food from the grocery store and only these 5 foods from around the world that you eat 4 times a day, about every 3 hours. After 7 days, men and women had lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. I know it sounds crazy to you. In a month, they lost as much weight as people lost in a year on diets. They lost on water and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. In a month's time, they lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides. Hunger came down 41% in 30 days. Can you imagine that on a diet? 30 days in, you're ready to eat your couch. The other thing that happened, they lowered inflammation by 25% in a month, and in 8 weeks, they shrank, you would call it probably the belly fat, but it's the fat around our organs. That shrank by 33% in 8 weeks. No one was allowed to exercise. Let me repeat that. No one was allowed to exercise. Not that the researchers were going to exercise. They didn't want that to be an outlier. If that makes sense to all of you. Here's the thing. You have no risk. The website that I put down, I'm going to put up there one more time under your name, the New Health Conversation. Whoops. If I spelled it right, it would help. So the New Health Conversation is a free website where all this medical proof is there. There's even an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. He and his team invented this. They don't sell anything. They don't have any products. They don't have a company. They're scientists. They have no financial interest in any of this, okay? And so basically you get, as a matter of fact, what you get is this. It's called the Blueprint for Success. And these yellows that you see here are actually daily videos from the researchers telling you day one, this is safe, it's not a diet, this is all free. No charge, the coaching is 100% free the whole time. But it even gets better. The 5 foods that you would buy that represent 70% of the food you consume in a month. They offer you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days, and they'll even pay return shipping. What? What's the catch? There is no catch. What's the other shoe? There's no other shoe to drop. But I would ask Lori or Mel or any of you, why in the world would you go on a diet to lose weight that would take you 8 weeks, that would be the most unhealthy weight you've ever lost, where you could lose that much weight in 7 days, and in a month lose as much weight pretty much as in a year, and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise? I know you're skeptical. You're thinking, I'm making this up. I'm not making anything up. The reason we give you the access to that website, the New Health Conversation, if you go there, we don't contact you. We're not going to call you. We're not going to bother you. You get to see the medical proof. And if you like what you see, scroll down and you can do a free, and I mean free, personal consultation with one of our coaches. The coaches have done the protocol and been trained to do it. And that coach, it's not just a free consultation. They'll coach you the whole time for free until you get to your goals. I know it sounds too good to be true because I do this, 4 or 5 of these lives a day, and I see the comments and I see how many people come onto them and how few people take advantage. It's free. What's your risk? It's completely free to go and look at the medical proof. I don't want you to believe me, Peter Greenlaw. It doesn't matter. I've been a nutritional researcher for 22 years. I'm the researcher of the researchers. It's not my research. We're making the research available to you. Somebody's got to do this. Are we going to continue? In 5 years, we're going to be at 86% overweight and obese. And then the other part I didn't even read to you, Ned, in that big study in Johns Hopkins, they said, furthermore, or more troubling, they're estimating by 2048, nearly 100% of America is going to be overweight or obese. What point do we finally say enough is enough? I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. Isn't it bad enough now? Today, it's 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. What are we doing? We're popping pills. We're eating food that has no nutrition. We know it. The food manufacturers have put chemicals and sugar in our food to do what? Addict us, to get us to eat more. That's what's going on, everyone. I mean, I'd love anybody put in the chat, tell me a diet that you think works. What would it be? Because the medical evidence, as a matter of fact, here's another big study done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, one of the top medical journals in the world. They did a 12-month study, and they looked at 48 different studies over 7,200 people over a year. What they concluded was, all the major diets, paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, Atkins, zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, et cetera, et cetera. What they found after 12 months, when they looked at the most amount of weight loss on any diet to the least amount of weight loss on any diet, the difference in weight was 10 ounces in a year, and the average weight loss in a year was about 16 pounds, and they said up to 40% of what people lost on any of these diets was lean muscle mass. That's what you're doing. You're going on a diet. Yeah, you're losing weight. You're all excited. You're fit in your skinny jeans. You're doing two of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. Number one, you're slowing down your own metabolism. And here's what the science says. The weight you're going to gain back, which is about 100% chance you are, 95% is fat. It's not muscle. But the other thing you're doing is slowing down your own immune system. My gosh, have we learned anything in the last 6 years? How important is our immune system? And now they got this new thing, I guess in California, the bird flu or whatever. I think I want my immune system as robust as it can possibly be. No diet's ever produced anything even remotely similar to this, despite all the critics and all the people that come on board and tell me that, I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm a snake oil salesman. And no, it's just nonsense. I mean, Lori or Tessa or Mel, if any of you, are you really concerned about your health? Because your health is your wealth. What's more important to us than our health? The main reason to do this is not even to lose weight. Believe it or not, the main reason to do this is to detoxify our bodies. Me and you and everyone, we have a medical syndrome called TDOS. The T is for toxicity, the D is for nutritional deficiency, O for overweight, S for stress. It's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office of a completely new medical condition, or medical syndrome, I should say. Well, the researchers who did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proved that this was doing what? Helping the body get rid of these chemicals that we're all storing that we can't avoid. If you're an adult on this, you have about 1,000 chemicals embedded in that belly fat, the fat around your organs. They proved this was doing it. Now, what they didn't expect was this unbelievable weight loss and gain of lean muscle, not losing lean muscle mass, because they were flooding the body with massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of quantity. That's why it worked. So, Tess, true. Well, I'm glad you agree with me. You don't have to. None of you have to agree with me, I know, because I get so much pushback on this because people are so, they're so brainwashed about calories in, calories out. I mean, when we've got, this is the one that's most telling, a meta-analysis examining 80 weight loss clinical trials where the authors compared different methods of calorie reduction. They found that a diet by reducing calorie intake initially produced weight loss, but people's weight steadily came back and they ended up weighing more than what they did when they started. Why are you going on a diet? You will think you failed. You didn't fail. The diet failed you. Don't you understand that? Go to Barnes & Noble. Look at how many diets we have. And I just keep saying it over. In 1964, about 4% of the population was overweight and obese. Today, it's 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. I mean, seriously, you don't even have to be a scientist. You don't have to be a researcher to figure that out. Does that sound like something that's working? And then when Johns Hopkins Medical School says a study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. When are we going to wake up? What's bad enough? 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic. We're spending 4 times more than the industrial world on sick care. We have about the 90th outcome. Our life expectancy now is 10 years shorter than people who live in Japan. We're the most overfed, undernourished people in the world. There's the problem. What are you doing about it? Yeah, Lori, the website, let me give it to you again. It's not, hold on just a second. Here we go, right here. Hold on just a second. It's I'm typing in the website for everybody. The new, if I could spell it right, it would be even better. And Lori, if you go there, we're not going to contact you. I want you to be clear about that. We don't do that. We're not in the convincing or selling business. We're in the education business. But if you like what you see, and only if you like what you see, then you can sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. But Lori, if you could lose as much weight safely in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet, why wouldn't you do that? You can see it there, the New Health Conversation. That's the free website for all of you to go to see the medical proof. And we're not going to contact you. We don't do that. You're in control. We want you to see the medical proof, and then if you like what you see, then you can sign up for a free personal consultation. It's that simple. Does that make sense to everybody? So would anybody else, Mel or TikTok Hip Hop, wow, that's a cool name. Would anybody else like to ask me a question? Hello, Tom. Tom, what we've been talking about is why diets are failing you, because they are. They don't work. They've never worked in the long run. And study after study says the same thing, like this one, why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories or restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never, ever been proven to keep weight off long term. So you're going on a diet for what? To end up, well, they even wanted to say what's even worse is 2/3 of people try to count or restrict their calories, gain back more weight than they lost. So, excuse me, you're going on a diet to gain weight? Did you know that? It's just, I know what I'm fighting. 100% of social media out there, they're all telling you they got some form of lowering calories to lose weight. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. But here's the scary part. Yes, you lose weight initially on any diet by lowering calories. But are they telling you that it's the most unhealthy weight you could ever lose? Because the studies say up to 40% of anything you're losing on any diet is lean muscle mass. And then the two unhealthy things the body does in response. Number one, it slows down metabolism because there's not enough fuel. That's why you plateau in these diets. That's why you come off the diet and you gain everything back. Or worse, by losing lean muscle, you also compromise your own immune system. Sadly, one of my 4 books, and by the way, there's no books to buy on that site, so it's not some trick to go there and buy a book. But this book, Your Third Brain, I wrote it with, I know you can't see him there in the white coat. He's considered probably the top oncologist in the world, and he's a molecular biologist and worked with 2 men and won the Nobel Prize in medicine. And sadly, I didn't know it at the time. In 2011, my younger brother was diagnosed with kidney cancer. And from the time he was diagnosed until he passed away, it was 8 months. He was 6'4", and when he died, he weighed 112 pounds. I could literally carry him in my arms. My colleague taught me later, the worst thing that could ever happen to someone with cancer is that they lose weight. This protocol, we have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have people that are 90. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with kidney transplants. We have people with no thyroids. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. Here's a simple version. It's massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of food. But you know what's really amazing? So the Obesity Journal, this is the journal of the Obesity Society of the world. It doesn't get much bigger than that. In this study where they took one group of people, did this new protocol called R2M, and they compared it to people doing the Mediterranean diet, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, has been the #1 diet 7 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. The #1 diet. On the Mediterranean diet, it took people 8 months to lose 10.2 pounds. Up to 40% of what they lost was lean muscles, right in the studies. And the problem was that 6 months later, they'd gained all their weight back. Compared, the people in these studies, they've lost 16 pounds in 30 days, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, and they've kept their weight off for nearly 8 or 9 years. I lost 40 pounds 22 years ago in 7 weeks. 40 pounds, 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 22 years. That's what you should be excited about. That's what you should focus on. That's why it's called R2M, Race to Maintenance. As I said before you go, oh my God, it's unhealthy to lose that weight. No, actually, the medical proof is now the faster you can lose weight, the greater chance you have of keeping it off. Also, if you want to be the most healthy, you want to lose weight as fast as you can. If you're not losing lean muscle mass. That's the big if. Well, they proved it. They accomplished that. Do you think, is longevity important to you? Do you think that's something that maybe you'd want to consider doing? I've been on carnivore for months now, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life. One, dieting, my thyroid acts up. Yeah, on a diet, maybe it does, but not on this. Bad B, we have tremendous amounts of people that are doing carnivore, but you have to understand that even on carnivore, you're woefully short of the total nutrition and the results that we're seeing on people that were on straight carnivore, and then we added, this other protocol to it. Their results are absolutely dramatic. Because what you have to understand with carnivore, there's 2 things, more than 2 things you're sufficiently lacking. Number one are natural vitamins. That's number one. It's because meat doesn't have any vitamins in it per se. Okay, it's got iron. If you're doing liver, but that's not what we need. But here's something else none of you knew this. So the reason that protein, which is what meat is so valuable, it carries what I call the spark plugs of the building blocks of life. Those are called amino acids. There's 9 that are essential and 11 that are non-essential. Now, what you've all been told is that ingest like 120 grams of protein a day, and you assume you're getting 120 grams of protein. Nothing could be farther from the truth. In Europe, they developed a scientific analysis. When you ingest protein from plants or animals, you get all 20 amino acids. So you clap your hands, but that doesn't mean anything to your body. What your body cares about is what percentage 0 to 100 are being absorbed and used by our genes to make human protein. This will blow all your minds. We have 22,000 genes in our body. We make 22,000 different proteins, and the only way we make a human protein is with an amino acid. So you're on the right track with carnivore, but here's where it falls woefully short. A plant-based protein, which you're not on, but I'm just doing it for my vegan friends. The maximum absorption of plant proteins that have been tested, like, I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but tofu, I guess, would be one maybe. The absorption is only 15%. And all meats that you're doing on your carnivore, whether it's steak, chicken, liver, fish, you're getting a 30% absorption. Well, these researchers found a protein source where the absorption is 91%, which means you could literally consume a third as much of the carnivore protein you're doing now and get the same benefit, because what's not in the meat you're eating, the 70% that's not converted into amino acid are turned into toxins. Yeah, they're called nitrogen catabolites. So there are things like urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose that your kidneys have to get rid of. They're not telling you that. And I know Dr. Saladini, and I know all this stuff. It's all good. So we say, look, let's do carnivore, but let's add in what you can't get in a carnivore or from any store in the United States. So we're big proponents of carnivore, but it's different because, again, the body doesn't give a damn about meat or carnivore. It cares about nutrition. And you're woefully short. You're getting about 25 or 30% of what your body actually needs to work at an optimum level. That's not an opinion on my part. And when the researchers put this together, one of the things, that's why they didn't let anybody exercise. Because men and women with no exercise gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. And yet they lost as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So I'm totally on board with carnivore. It's just imagine if you could take it to a whole different level, which you could, because where are you getting the other elements that aren't in meat? Sorry, they just aren't. It's not, this is how it works. Okay, I eat organs. It has all. No, it doesn't. That's nonsense. What you also don't see, this is the point. This is an opinion. There's not any facts behind it. The main thing you're short are trace ionic minerals. You need 70. And the best you're doing is 20 out of 70. The other 50 you're not even getting. And I just told you, your absorption, 70% of what you're eating in meat, your kidneys are having to get rid of. You're putting a tremendous strain on your kidneys. I don't care that's the medical proof. And where are you getting the 20? You're not getting, you're getting 21 natural vitamins in meat. What planet are you living on? I said you're getting iron, okay, and a couple other things, but you're not getting everything that you need. That's complete nonsense. I'd also like to know how long did it, they don't have a medical study. I looked at them before. It's nonsense. They have scientific papers. That is not a peer-reviewed human trial study done on human beings. They can say whatever the heck they want. No proof. Nonsense. This is the problem in this country. We have all these opinions. We have scientific papers. Doesn't mean a damn thing. They don't have a peer-reviewed human trial study. I know, because this isn't my first rodeo having people with carnivore come in. I'm happy for you. That's great. Do it. Do whatever you want to do. But don't sit here and tell me that that's the ultimate, because it's not. It's just that simple. You're not. Also, where are you getting adaptogens, by the way? Do you know what an adaptogen is? Adaptogens come from Manchuria. They're not coming from your local grocery store. They massively lower stress, but most importantly, lower inflammation in your body. It went down 25% in 30 days. No one's ever seen anything like this. I only get animated because I really care. I want you to at least be, what? Would you argue with increasing what you're doing by 3 or 4 fold? From a nutritional, from a health standpoint of view? I think carnivore is great, but it's not the final answer. You're not getting everything you need. I don't care what, show me a peer-reviewed human trial study on human beings. Then we can have a discussion. They don't have that. I saw them, come on. I saw their videos. It's what it is. It's an opinion. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not this. Oh, and the other thing is, what are they doing? What are you doing about removing the chemicals that you're storing in your fat cell? You have about 1,000 of them, by the way, in your visceral fat. That carnivore doesn't do anything to remove those at all, zero. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight, it's to detox the body. Carnivore doesn't detox you. And I'm hoping, for God's sake, you're doing grass-fed beef, whatever, no hormones. I'm sure that's probably what you're doing, which is great. I'm not against you. Don't take my passion for anything other than that. I've waited 22 years to see the medical proof. This is the biggest breakthrough. The major obesity experts in the world are calling these researchers to say, you realize you've changed everything. We'll never recommend traditional eating plans again. And you know that most of them are against carnivore, which I'm not. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But don't try and tell me that that's the ultimate, because it's not. And they don't have any proof. They got a lot of chatter going, no, unless they have a peer-reviewed human trial study on human beings published in these big medical journals. I know, because for 20 years, I didn't have it. We didn't have it. No medical doctor would even look at this. I'm glad that they're doing it. I have a lot of people. No money in what? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Bad B. When you say no money in it, what are you talking about? Dr. Berry and Dr. Sean Baker? They can give me an opinion, but unless they have a peer-reviewed human trial study, doesn't mean a thing. It's noise. It's interesting. And like I said, I'm a big proponent of carnivore, but not the way you're doing it. We would look at enhancing what you're doing. Get the benefits of carnivore times 3 or 4. Well, right away, you can consume a third the amount of protein, which means you're going to have a third less waste to deal with in your kidneys. God forbid you ever had a friend that was on kidney dialysis. They don't have any protein at all. I mean, the thing is, that's what we're fighting. We're fighting opinions. It's taken these researchers almost 40 years to figure this out. And they're the top. They're not just nutritionists. They're physiologists. That's the study of the nutrients once they go in the body, like on carnivore. With all due respect, Dr. Berry and Dr. They're not physiologists. They're medical doctors. Big deal. Stick to your lane. You know how much nutrition they took in medical school? About 10 hours. These are people that have devoted their whole lives, 40 years, to the research of nutrition and weight loss, and most importantly, human physiology. Like, what's this stuff doing once it enters the body? That's what matters. That's what matters to everybody. So Mel or Daniel or anybody else, would you, again, Bad B, I'm not quite sure what you're saying, no money in it. We don't sell anything. The researchers don't sell anything. I mean, you have to buy food anyway. But you're going to probably, if you did this, you wouldn't buy as much meat. You wouldn't need to. Because all the meat is carrying the protein that contains the amino acids, but only at 30%. I like giving 91%. That to me sounds a lot better, because now I only have 9% waste to deal with, not 70%. And I just told you, vegans, I make vegans really mad when I tell them your absorption is 15% out of 100. 85% of vegan protein is turned into toxic waste that the kidneys have to get rid of. Look at what's going on in this country. We're spending something like almost $2 trillion a year on sick care based on chronic diseases. Chronic diseases are lifestyle diseases caused by, we're digging our own grave with a knife and a fork and a spoon. I mean, we have 50% of our kids are overweight and 30% of them are pre-diabetic. Do you know that type 2 diabetes in children 35 years ago didn't even exist? In 1964, there were like no cases of these chronic diseases that we have now. I mean, the numbers are insane. In 1990, about 1 in 10,000 kids were born or diagnosed autistic. You know what it is now? 1 in 40. 1 in about 22 boys. I mean, 20 years ago, I think it was 1990, I believe it was, about 1 in 15 women got breast cancer. This year, it's about 1 in 8. In 10 years, they project it could be 1 in 3. How are we doing? We're ingesting these chemicals. Do you get it? We're right now, all of you, including my carnivore friends, you're breathing in the fumes for the coal-fired power plants in China, the mercury, the cadmium, etc. No diet, with all due respect, no carnivores ever shown removing a gram of a toxin from the body. That's what we're doing. I think we need something a little bit more than just a diet. And we need the medical proof to say, okay, this is really what's going on. The researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, proving this was helping the body get rid of these chemicals that we're storing inside of us. Do you know we're storing plastics inside of us? Did you know that? Phthalates, which is what makes the plastic pliable. I mean, it's just, and I think, I'll say something that'll probably be controversial. I think carnivore is one of the, it's been a really good breakthrough, but it's still really insufficient. You're at about 30% of what you could and what we really need. But it's up to all of you. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to listen to me. I've spent 22 years of my life I wrote 4 best-selling books, all with some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. I worked with the geneticists who discovered, he did, not me, but they discovered and proved the gene that causes aging. What if I told you that aging is not a condition, it's a disease? And do you know what the five things that speed up aging in your body? Number 1, cigarette smoking. I hope none of you smoke. But these 4 factors: toxicity, driven by nutritional deficiency, overweight, and stress. Are you concerned? See, I would hope what you'd all be interested in is maximizing your quality of life potential from a health perspective. Okay? It's like carnivore would be like going to the gas station and the first pump, it's $3.50 and it says this gallon will take you 20 miles. Okay. The next pump, they're saying it's $4 a gallon and they said this gallon will take you 100 miles. Do you understand that the less fuel, the less amount of food you put in your body, the more longevity you're creating? All the studies have said this for years. But the problem is, as our food became more and more and more nutritionally bankrupt, it was setting us up to lose because we were losing primarily lean muscle mass. Well, 40% at least. I'm not here to scare people to death. I'm here to scare you to life. And we're here to educate you and give you an opportunity to see the medical studies are there. The number 1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, he and his team are the ones that invented this. There's a big interview with him and he says he'll never recommend any form of traditional diet ever again. He said it would be unethical. Why would we tell people to go on diets to take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way possible when they could lose that much weight in a week and be healthy? I know you're all struggling with, you're skeptical, you think, who's this crazy guy? I get it all the time. It just gets old when people take me on and I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see, I did 20 shows on PBS and I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. And I did 1,500 live lectures around the world at universities, medical schools. They even flew me to China for 16 days to do lectures. But I'm honest, 20 years, it didn't mean anything. It was a theory. So they wouldn't act on it. I understand why. But now we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. How much more evidence do you need? It's not a question whether it's carnivore that you're going to lose weight, but you're not getting the other benefits. For example, what are you doing about detoxing your body? I'm going to just take a chance here. And so we didn't know as a world that we were storing chemicals in our body until 2005, Mount Sinai Medical School in New York. So they've now had 19 years to study these chemicals. Listen to this. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to research on hormones and clinical practice of endocrinology, reports the rise in incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. They gave these chemicals a name, they call them obesogens. Obesogens. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from compounds in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed on our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen. Are you listening, ladies? And blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone. Are you listening, men? And essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? Don't tell me carnivore has no impact on obesogens. No diet does. You're storing these chemicals inside you. Did you know that? Had you ever heard of obesogens before today? What are you doing about obesogens? Any of you? I would ask you. What paleo, keto, Mediterranean, carnivore, Cornish diet, the zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, South Beach, North Beach, whatever the heck it is. Do you see what the problem is? We don't even understand. In science, if you don't understand the problem, you can't come up with a solution. Because a diet is not dealing with this TDOS syndrome, which I have, every person on the planet. Did any of you see the movie Dark Waters? It was about 4 or 5 years ago. It was really good. It was about DuPont. And they said in the movie, they now estimate 99% of the people in the world have Teflon in their bodies. Starbucks coffee, did you see that about 3 months ago? They said in each cup you're getting around 25,000 microplastics in every cup of coffee. You know this whole thing about paper straws, you know what they're lined with? Plastic. Every canned good is lined with plastic. Better living through chemistry? Maybe not. And I just told you, they said, these obesogens are altering our hormones and reprogram us to gain weight. There's a reason why 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% is obese. Yeah, it's fast food and they're not. That's a minor, tiny part of it. All of you talk more. Okay. Talk more 33. All right. What is it? Okay, so let me go over again for everybody. So let's take a deep breath and say, the title is Why Diets Are Failing You. Okay, here's why. The human body works not on calories, doesn't even know what calorie is. It works on a minimum amount of nutrition. Does everybody get that, right? And that nutrition is the fuel that runs the brain first, then the heart, the kidneys, the liver, the pancreas, etc., right? All a diet is, it has nothing to do with calories because the human body doesn't care about calories, doesn't know what a calorie is. A calorie is a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. When you go on a diet, think about it. What you're really doing, you're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. I don't care what the name of the diet is. At the end of the day, that's pretty much it. Well, what happens then is when the brain figures there's not enough nutrition via fuel, it freaks out, goes in survival mode, prevents you from burning fat and converting your muscles into carbohydrates for fuel. Then 2 of the most unhealthy things on the planet happen. It slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau on diets. So that's why you come off these diets. I don't care what the name of the diet is. They're gaining all their weight back. And it also impacts your own immune system. So the researchers said, could we come up with a new approach? By the way, the people who invented this, they've been the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world for 38 years. That's all they've done. So again, when I get excited about these 2 doctors that, talking about carnivore, they're not researchers. Okay, that's nonsense. But so what they were able to do was come up with a new food grouping where only 30% of the food people consume came from the grocery store. You actually get a grocery list of exactly what to buy. The other 70% came from 5 foods from around the world that the researchers don't sell you. They don't have a company. They don't have anything, right? Texas, then go somewhere else. If you don't want to hear the explanation, go on a diet, count calories, and you're going to gain all your weight back. Go for it. This is complicated. It's not simple. Okay? Get to the point. Get to the point, well, then go do carnivore, or go do Jenny Craig, or go do Weight Watchers. There's plenty of people out there that'll support you in failure, because that's what's going to happen. That's how come 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% are obese and 50% pre-diabetic, okay? So do whatever you want to do. So then the researchers had the food, but then they needed a recipe. How do we consume it? So they did 2 completely different things. First of all, 5 days a week, people had 4 meals a day. They had these 5 foods from around the world that the researchers said are the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint of view. Okay? Very important. So they had that for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and the fourth meal of the day was from this World's Most Perfect Meals. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods from around the world, 4 times a day, about every 3 hours. So you were fasting nutritionally because these foods represented huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity, okay? Then what happened? After 7 days, men and women who were not allowed to exercise had lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet out there. Go paleo, keto, whatever, nonsense. In a month, they lost as much weight as a year on diets, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Get to the point, speed up, go for it. Go take a pill, go take a shot. There's all kinds of things. None of them work long term with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, and 50% pre-diabetic. I mean, it's insane. You're dealing with something as important as your health and you want to speed it up? Really? I mean, how do you think we got to 80% overweight and 50%? Everybody wants a quick fix. You know, these shots, I'm not against the shots. They're helping diabetics and they're helping. But I'll tell you this, what the evidence now says, you better be on that shot for the rest of your life because we're dealing with people coming off the shot. They're gaining a half a pound a day. And a big study done on the shot, on semaglutide, 68 weeks. Right here. After 68 weeks, the average weight loss for men and women was 32 pounds in 68 weeks, and 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. This is New England Journal of Medicine. They don't sell anything. They don't have a dog in this hunt. We got people losing 30 pounds in 3 or 4 weeks. Do whatever you want to do. Go count those calories and be miserable. It's just ludicrous because here's the whole thing about calories, all right? And even Harvard Medical School said, let me find the exact quote from Harvard. This is what we're up against. They said, stop counting. This is Harvard Medical School. Stop counting calories. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Let's make it simple. Cut calories 3,500, you're going to lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. They went on to say, stop the calories notion. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is totally not just antiquated, but it's wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical. Drop the calories notion. We need to concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. See, all this stuff wrapped around diets now. The medical proof is overwhelming. Here's a study on 80 different clinical trials on reducing calories. I'm reading right from the report. The authors compared different methods of dieting by lowering calories. They found that a diet focused on calorie intake initially produced weight loss, but people's weight steadily rose back and they ended up gaining more weight than they lost. This is 80 studies. 80, not 8, not 10, 80. It's not that simple. If it was that simple, then you'd just do Jenny Craig and you'd lose weight and you'd keep it off. The problem is complicated because what's complicated it is this medical syndrome that every one of us have, TDOS. Toxic. Do you all believe we're living in a toxic world? Do you believe that? You're breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants from China from 2 weeks ago, the lithium and the cadmium and the mercury. Hello? You can't avoid it. So what's the body doing to protect us? I read it. The Endocrine Society said we're evolving as a species to destroy these chemicals in fat. And we want, this is not a simple solution. This is not a matter of giving you a recipe and telling you to count calories, because what these researchers laid out that you would learn for free, but get a free coach because we got to teach you how to do this. But it's not just what you're eating, it's the amount, it's the timing, everything. They meticulously laid this out. Dr. Doc Talk. Hey, thank you, Dr. Doc Talk. What a great name. So who else would like to ask me a question? I'm sorry, Texas Patriot, I don't mean to get so excited, but Texas Patriot, you have to understand, my mother was morbidly obese my whole life, and 23 years ago, she called me up one day and said, you know, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything to spend one day thin. And 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. She did about every damn diet that was out there. I believe she dieted herself to death. So yeah, I'm damn passionate about this. I lived through fat shaming. I saw how broken her heart was. She'd lose 20 pounds and gain 25 back. But she'd be cheery and she said, well, now I'm going to try the South Beach diet. Now I'm going to do OptiFast. Now I'm going to do whatever. She would cut diets out of the National Enquirer. So yeah, I take this really seriously. And you understand something. The researchers don't sell you anything. We don't sell you anything. 30% of your food comes from the grocery store, and the other 70%, you're buying it directly from the suppliers who supplied the 5 foods to the researchers. Oh, and by the way, those 5 foods from those researchers, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. If it doesn't work, they'll even pay return shipping. Please show me someone on social media doing that. And of course, nothing's 100%. I wouldn't be that dumb to say that. But seriously, if you want a simple solution, you don't need to be on this podcast. Sorry, just it's not how it works. Science doesn't give a damn about that. Science cares about scientific method, the results, and and we teach you how to do it. It's not going to give you some recipe, some magic fairy dust that it's not a lotion, potion, pill, capsule. No, it doesn't work like that. We're in a dilemma. We're in a huge, huge dilemma. And what are we doing? Arguing with me. Not all of you, some of you. And I apologize in advance for getting so animated, but this is really, really important. We're the most overfed, undernourished society in the world. We spend 4 times the industrial world on sick care, and yet we have about the 90th outcome. Our life expectancy is 10 years shorter than the people who live in Japan. In 1964, we had 4% of the population overweight and obese. How are the simple solutions working? Jenny Craig watches Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto, counting calories, give you recipes. None of them work long term. I mean, they said it. Well, counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term. The approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. How do you think we got from 4% to 80% if any of these simple, here's the recipes. Let's make it simple. Here's breakfast, here's lunch, whatever. No, it doesn't work. If it worked, you couldn't tell me. You can't convince me we'd have 80%. I would have no research to do. It's not even my research. I'm the researcher of the researchers. Is this making sense to all of you? Would anybody like to put a question in the chat? I'm happy to. Stella, sorry about Stella, you didn't do anything wrong. What's the point? What? Sorry about what? I'm here to serve all of you by providing you with the information. What would you like me to leave out, ladies and gentlemen? Get to the point. What should I leave out? Does your health matter? Do you go to your doctor and tell him, get to the point? This is a major crisis. This isn't just about fitting in your skinny jeans. This isn't about fat shaming or any crap like that. Oh, yeah, thank you very much, Stella. Yeah, it was, and the sad part was, she just wanted one day thin. Not a week, not a month. I'd see her cut diets out of the National Enquirer. You don't think this is personal for me? I loved her. She was awesome. I can't tell you, because I obviously can't prove it, but if I could have known about this and my mom had done this and she'd lost as much weight in 7 days as 2 months of dieting, wow. Maybe she wouldn't have got totally thin, but she would have had some joy. She'd be so excited when she'd lose the weight. And then it seemed like a couple of weeks later, she'd gain it all back. And she'd go, oh, well, the grapefruit diet didn't work. Now I'm going to do the cabbage soup diet or whatever it was. All of you are looking at something that is just the definition of insanity. Can anybody put in the chat a diet that's not something you've been told it's about counting calories and the calorie doesn't even mean anything to the body? Calorie is just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. It's nothing less, nothing more. And yet we're providing you with a free website. It's right here, the new health. I'm putting it in the chat for all of you down at the bottom. You can see it right there, the new health conversation. If you go there, it's totally free to go there. There's nothing to buy, none of my books. But there is an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world who they don't sell anything, but they created this. And they said in the interview, they'll never recommend any form of traditional diet ever again. They said it would be unethical. Peter, how could we put somebody, so Stella, they wouldn't want to put you on a diet. It would take you 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way on the earth when you could do that in a week and have it be healthy and sustainable. The whole key to this is R2M, race to maintenance. I lost 40 pounds, 7 weeks, 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. Doesn't that excite some of you? You know, I just, sometimes I wonder why do I do this? Because I really do get hate mail. I mean, people, because I'm so rattling their cages and raising their trees. And again, the point is, there is not a simple solution to this. These researchers spent almost 40 years trying to find, they did every diet out there. Paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time. They did 40 years of research. They came to the conclusion, simple probably isn't going to work. Because it's not a matter of giving you a recipe and then cutting down on the portion size. It doesn't work in the long run. Does not work in the long run. So whether it's Stella or any of you, you have a chance. You understand race to maintenance. The whole key to this, it's not a question, can you lose the weight? That's the end of the beginning. You've just started. Once you get your weight off, then we teach you maintenance, which is so simple. It's literally one of the world's most perfect meals for breakfast, and then 2 meals, and then maybe once every 2 or 3 months, do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast. Well, let me ask you a question. If you can ingest the world's most perfect meal once a day, why wouldn't you do it? This is not lotions, potions, pills, capsules. No. See, that's simple. That's really simple. You want to get simple? But you got to get to maintenance to get to that simplicity. And we give you all the instructions. This is the researchers put this together. These yellows, they're video tutorials. It's all free because it doesn't do you any good to give you the ingredients with no recipe. I don't cook, but I know I've seen people cooking, right? And so what's happening is that they are losing. They are able to produce results that no one's ever seen before. I know you're all skeptical when I tell you, honestly, any of you, how excited? So ladies, what if you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? Would that be of interest to you? How excited would you be? Men, 2 to 4 inches off your waist in a week. And see, anybody that's coming on here, don't even do this to lose weight. That's the last reason why diets are failing you, because they don't work. I'd love for anybody to put a diet in the chat you think works long term. Yeah, you can lose weight on any diet, carnivore, Jenny Craig, whatever. But can you keep it off? And can you sustain it? Can you do that diet long term? That really should become your issue. So you can see it there, the new health conversation. Free website. You can go there. You can see everything. It's free. There's no gimmicks, tricks, whatever. Or not. It's up to you. It's not up to me. So user 337 or Happy Amy or Danielle or obviously Stella, I think you're still on board. Would anybody like to ask me a question? This is live. I'm here to answer questions. And if you don't, if you're too shy to do that, or you think I'm not gonna argue with you, all right? I might get upset because I do that. I can't help it. I wear my emotion on my sleeve. But you know what's so great about science? It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't have any prejudice. It just is. And when you've got 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies in the biggest medical journals in the world, you have what's called irrefutable evidence, because it's already been scrutinized by the top medical doctors and researchers in the entire world. And again, that's my problem. When you have someone like the nice lady that came on and she's doing carnivore and she's had a great success, and she talked about those 2 doctors. They didn't do peer-reviewed human trial studies. Doesn't mean anything. It means zero in the medical world. They'll never accept it. And if it was that good, you'd want to do a peer-reviewed human trial study, except they cost a lot of money. They take a long time to do. I've already said I have nothing against carnivore, but it's incomplete. Again, do you want to get 20 miles to the gallon, or would you rather get 100 miles to the gallon? I mean, that's what it really comes down to. In your body, the less fuel you need, the healthier you're going to be long term. As long as you have enough nutrition, not enough quantity, but enough quality. That's the thing I hope you all would focus on, right? So I'm going to go about another minute. If anybody has a question for me or not. The main thing that I would invite all of you to do is to go to that website, the new health conversation. look at the medical proof. We're not going to contact you. And only if you go there and you like what you see, then you can sign up or not. Because here's what we don't do. We're not asking you to sign up for free consultation and then we show you all the evidence. No, we show the evidence up front. I mean, I hope that this has been informative. I hope it's been inspiring. I hope that you will, at least for your own benefit, it's not going to change my life, to go to the website and see the medical proof. If you believe in medical proof, then there it is, or not. So I'm going to close this out. Thank you all for being. Oh, it was Dr. Ken Berry and Sean Baker. Okay, yeah, bad B. I didn't see that. Nothing wrong with them. I mean, they good. But again, you have to understand when you don't have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it means nothing in the medical world. That's why, you're getting a lot of pushback on carnivore. I know it. Cardiologists and whatever. So if it was that good, then you'd want to have a peer-reviewed human trial study because they're above reproach. It's irrefutable medical proof. An opinion doesn't work. Sorry. I went through it. I know, 20 years. Despite, 4 best-selling books and 20 shows on PBS. Didn't mean anything in the medical world. It was interesting. I got a lot of speaking engagements, but there was no buy-in in the medical community. So, anybody else? All right. Well, I'm going to say adieu to everybody. I never know what to do because this goes all over the world. It's now 4:45 in the morning in India. It's about midnight in England. It's 3 o'clock in California. And I guess it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Hawaii. I'm not sure. Kimberly, great, Kimberly, for your benefit, please go there. So Kimberly, you can see it's right above your name, the new health conversation, no spaces. I'll put it in one more time for you. And keep in mind, Kimberly, if you go there, don't think we're going to call you because we're not. The only way we'll contact you is if you contact us. We want you to feel free that we're not there to harass you. We're not there to sell you. We're not there to convince you. And the reason we do free personal consultations, Kimberly, we don't know anything about you. Maybe you want to gain weight. Are you on any medication? What have you tried in the past? Do you exercise? We got kids as young as 2 doing this. We have people that are 90. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with kidney transplants. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or make any medical proclamations whatsoever. We don't do that. We don't need to. And this is not a substitute for allopathic medicine, by the way. It's in conjunction with, not a substitute for. So let's be clear. I'm not against drugs. I'm not. But one of our goals is, can we put you in a position where maybe you need less medication than you did before you started this protocol? And if you go to the website, you'll see that. You'll see the evidence of A1C, of cholesterol, of triglycerides, inflammation, all on the website for free. So again, anybody like to ask one last question? So Stella, I hope you'll go there. And obviously, Kimberly, best results I've ever had was a plan, limited sugar. I am on no meds. Great, Kimberly. Again, nice start, but woefully short. Here's what I would say to you, Kimberly, don't get mad. You really have no idea, any of you, how bad you actually feel right now because you don't understand how good you could feel. Because it's all about maximizing your quality of life potential, your health potential. That's a great approach that you had. It's not shakes. It's way more than shakes. There are about, I don't have time to go into all the details, but there's really 5 different food groups that are part of it. So don't be misled. That's why, again, you do a personal consultation, and it's free. They're not going to try and sell you. But again, somebody wanted me, well, speed it up. What? I'm not speeding anything up. If it was that simple, I'd say just go down to Whole Foods and this is what you buy. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay? Well, because we're not trying to sell you anything. Of course, there's no product links on there. Why would we do that? The idea is for you, J.E., to go there and see the medical proof. Did you see the before and afters? If I show them here, they'd ban me? Did you watch the interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world? No, we want to make it. Oh, you did watch well, what did you think of the before and afters? No Photoshop. Did you notice some of the people lost like 100 pounds, no loose skin? And did you see the athlete in 11 days, the transformation in the stomach in just 11? None of it's Photoshop. So, J.E., what I would do is, because it doesn't do you any good to have the ingredients without the recipe. And it's free. The coaching's free. You got no risk. They'll show you, if you do decide you want, after the interview, they'll show you how to order directly from the suppliers. They don't sell anything to you. But it's a little bit complicated. Do you want results, or do you want, if you want, I'm not trying to be mean to people, but if people want a simple solution, then go do Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or Golo or all this other nonsense that's out there. None of it works, but go for it. Oh, so, okay. How can I answer it without being evasive? So let's assume, JE, it was January 1st. Would you agree you have to eat? I'm sure you'll agree with me. Okay, so here's what's different. You take the money you spent in December on food, take 30% of that approximately. That's what you're going to buy from your grocery store. The other 70%, you're not spending any of it at the grocery store. You're taking that 70% and you're buying the 5 foods that come from around the world. Here's what most people tell me, because I don't know your budget, right? But most people tell me when they really look at this, and the 30% they buy from the grocery store and the 70% they buy from these 5 foods around the world, it's about what they're spending now on food that literally is almost nutritionally bankrupt. Does that make sense? But they can go over all that with you. But again, what if you want to gain weight? How much do you want to lose? Do you exercise? Are you on any medication? Do you see what I'm saying? This is not like check the box, like the one person said, get to the point. No, I'm not getting to the point. I mean, do you go to your doctor when he gives you a prescription and do you question him and say, get to the point? Or do you want to know what the reason is behind it? So anyway, what I would suggest then, JE, if that helps, go there, because the consultation's free. They're not going to try and sell you or convince you. And one, I tell everybody this, when you go there, there's a little box. When you scroll down to sign up for whatever I want to lose weight, I've got medication, whatever, just so we get an idea of which coach we would direct to help you. Because, for example, we have diabetics. Well, we put them with people that have worked with diabetics. Or say you have high blood pressure, or maybe you want to work out. We have kids as young as 2 doing this and people that are 90. Those are different conversations, you can imagine, right? Good, JE. Thank you very, very much. So, JE, I'm just curious. So is this your second time being on one of my podcasts? I always ask people that if hopefully I said something that was of value and that people want to come back, that I didn't scare them away. Whoa, that wasn't good. I just knocked over my camera. I think I did anyway. Whoa. Hold on. I'm telling myself to hold on here. Hold on. Whoa. What's going on here? Oh, I see. Whew. Well, I was almost done. That's good that I knocked my camera over. Yeah, it's a little bit crooked, but that's okay. So for the rest of you, I really encourage you, invite you to go to, I'll put it one last time down in the bottom. This is the free website to go to for your free personal consultation if you want to. Okay, hold on. You can see it there, the New Health Conversation. It's a free website. And if you go there, we're not going to contact you. For any of you that are worried that somehow we're going to strong arm you or bait and switch, we don't do any of that kind of stuff, all right? So anyway, I hope that all of you have a wonderful rest of your night, day, afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Have a great time. Yes, JE, I couldn't agree with you more. But the thing that's so different and unique about this, it's totally the opposite of everything we've ever been told. And because it's backed up with the 10 peer-reviewed human, well, look, you saw those before and afters. Unless you think we're lying to you when we photoshopped them, I'm sure you were like blown away when you saw. But it wasn't just, notice, it wasn't just the weight they lost. Did you look at the medical, the A1C, the cholesterol, the triglycerides? The inflammation was unbelievable. And as you know, some of those people, I mean, the amount of weight they lost was insane. But we're used to it now. We see it all the time. Because again, it's not a diet. That's not how it works. So I'm happy, JE, that you went there. I'm glad you liked it. And like I said, we're here to try and help as many people as we can by making the website completely free. JE, just tell everybody, you went there. We didn't contact you. Am I right? Was there anybody? No one was contacting you. There's no way. We can't contact you unless you give us permission to contact you. Isn't that fair, J.E.? You got to look at, did you watch the interview with Dr. Arciero? Did you watch that interview? Pretty amazing. I went there myself. Great, wonderful. So anyway, for the last time, we'll see all of you later. And just to let you know, I'm not doing any tomorrow, but normally I do 3 or 4 of these a day, and I'll be doing them probably right up until Christmas Eve. I'm not sure I'm going to do any on Christmas Day. I might get in trouble for that one. But other than that, it's a 7-day-a-week labor of love. I'm doing it to share this great knowledge with all of you, that I've been entrusted to share this knowledge with all of you. So everybody have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever it is.